everyone. It's your big sister Chiquis, and you've reached my personal voicemail box for the Dear Chiquis podcast. I'm here to give you advice on anything and everything you need help with, whether you're going through a breakup or having issues with your family, or maybe you have a question about my personal life. Whatever the case is, I want to hear from you. Remember, these are my thoughts and my opinions, and if you're suffering from a serious issue or hardship, you should seek help from a qualified professional. All right, now go ahead and leave your message at the sound of the beep.
Hi, Chiquis. Thank you for taking a call from me in the past where you answered questions about your interior dialogue being Spanish or English and your thoughts on Mariposa de Barrio. And I'm hoping you take this call today to take me on a deep dive about perfume. I'm a collector and a lover. I have several bottles of Reina, and I've been collecting your mom's perfumes as well. Now, of course, I've heard you talk about how you helped develop her perfume, went to China, all of that. Tell us about it. Go on a deep dive. I have been collecting the 4 women's perfumes that I've seen. There's Forever, there's Jenny. They have the same bottle design. There is JR and Mariposa. They have a different but similar bottle design. And tell me about it. Were those all ones that you did? Were they ones that your mom had any input on? And also, as a lover of perfumes, tell me a little bit more about what's coming next for you. As a maker, I actually have created my own Diamante and Janae perfumes. I would love to share them with you someday. You let me know. Let your people reach out to my people and I'll get you some samples, girlfriend. But yeah, tell us all about it. What was the process like? Was your mom really involved in all of these? What was even the order of the release? All these information details, I'm dying to know. Let's get into it.
Oh my gosh, Alissa, your voice. It's so beautiful. You should have your own podcast or do meditation guides or something. You have a beautiful voice. And thank you so much. I'm so glad that I was able to answer your question before, and I gladly will answer your question now. Thank you for the support that you've given my perfume and my mom's as well. And yes, I have Reina, and just let me get into it really quick, but I do have working on a new fragrance right now. It's going to be a unisex, and it's going to be called, well, actually, I probably shouldn't say the name yet, but it is a unisex and it smells divine. It's so beautiful. And I cannot wait to smell what you came up with, the Diamante. I love that. That's actually a great name. So yes, we will figure it out to see how I can get a sample of it. But yes, so I started the perfume. My mom would just have these ideas. I want a makeup and skincare line. And we found the right person, and I, did all the footwork and handled all the day-to-day stuff, and just made it happen for her. And one day she said, I want a jean line. And I helped her with that too. I would find the manufacturers. And when she told me that she wanted a perfume, a fragrance, because she loved fragrances, she would always wear Tresor. That was her go-to. And she wanted to come out with her own, because people would always tell her, oh, you smell so good. And she's like, you know what? There's something here. I want my own fragrance. And she gave me a budget, a very small budget. She says, I want, here's $60,000, figure out how you're going to do it, but I want my own perfume. And I looked and it was just very expensive to make it here in the States. So I said, Mom, I'm going to have to go overseas. I need to go to China. And what I'll do is have them make it there, and then maybe we can, replicate it here in the States or whatnot. So that's what I did. I was around 23 years old, and I found someone that could help me out there, and found a manufacturer, and I flew out there by myself. And it was a very nice experience. But the day that I left to China, my mom and I were fighting. We got in an argument because I don't know what. So we weren't talking, and I was just but it gave me that fire within to say, you know what? I need to show my mom that I can do this. And it just, I don't know, I freaking killed it. In 3 weeks, I had a whole thing. I knew what my mom liked already. I knew her very well. So the scent and everything, because there was no time, obviously. I was all the way in China, in Guangzhou, to send her samples or anything. So I just did it myself. And I was like, I know she's going to be happy. I know my mother. And thank goodness I did, because she loved everything. And that was how the perfume JR was born, because we didn't really name it anything. It was just JR, her logo, her initials. And that's, I think, to this day, our top seller. And with the other fragrances that you have that are also amazing, I just helped with, choosing the scent and saying, I like it, or maybe we should add a little bit of this or whatnot. But everything else, the old administration handled, and my siblings. But yeah, I love fragrances. I always have. I want to smell good. So I'm so glad that you're enjoying them. And yeah, I mean, I'd totally get into it a lot more because there's so much to that story, but obviously we're on Dear Cheeky, so we can't. But maybe one day I can do a Chiquis and Chill episode to talk about that experience because it was definitely a good one. Thank you so much, Alissa, for your question. And I look forward to hearing from you again. Okay, guys, next question comes from Jocelyn.
Hi, Chiquis. I'm a very big supporter of yours and recently met you for the first time during your Diamante tour. I've always felt that you are such an inspiring and comforting person who I admire very much, which is why I wanted your advice on this topic. I'm currently a senior in high school who's preparing to go off to college later on this year. My question for you is, do you have any advice you could give me, as I have never really been away from home or my parents? Any advice that you'd give on how to navigate through a completely new chapter while we're taking on that role of complete independence? Thank you for being who you are, and I love and miss you very much and hope to see you again soon.
Oh, Jocelyn, thank you so much. You're so sweet. Well, so I know it is a little scary. It's a scary thought because you're stepping into the unknown, moving out, it's something new, and you feel that, your parents protect you and you feel safe. And I get that. It took me a while to move out. My circumstances were a little different, but when I did, that's when I really stepped into my own. And it just helps you appreciate the real value of money and budgeting and stuff like that. So I think my advice to you would be, make sure you have a job, first of all, before you move out, because you're going to need means to pay for your rent and feed yourself and stuff, and budgeting yourself and knowing, exactly how much your rent will be, or are you going to roommate, and where are you going to go grocery shopping? Because all of that stuff matters. So definitely a job is number one. And just knowing that you will have some bumps in the road, that is normal, and don't get discouraged. It's part of adulting, and adulting is uncomfortable, but with that comes you becoming your best self, and stepping into your own strength and your own courage and your wisdom, and that's going to take time. So be patient and compassionate. But that is, I think, the number one thing. Definitely getting a job and hopefully finding a roommate, because carrying that whole weight on your own could be a lot, especially if you're moving out for the first time on your own. So those are the things that I would definitely do. But I think it's great that you are willing to do this and start your life. I feel like the sooner the better, kind of ish. In the Latin family, it's the longer you stay at home, the better. Don't leave until you get married. But if you are feeling this in your heart, then I think that you should try it. That's my advice. So thank you so much, Jocelyn. Okay, guys, next question comes from Valerie.
Hi, Chiquis. I just wanted to stop by and tell you that I love your podcast and I love every topic you speak about on the podcast. So I have a very sensitive topic to speak about, which would be miscarriage. I myself had a miscarriage October 2024. I also struggled with infertility for 2 years, and I'm finding myself struggling in dealing with the miscarriage grief. How did you deal with miscarriage grief? And I know this pain never ends, but how are you dealing with the miscarriage grief? I would love for you to respond back and give me some tips of how you're dealing with your miscarriage grief. Thank you.
Oh, Valerie, thank you so much. Thank you, first and foremost, for supporting and being a listener and loving my podcast. It means a lot to me. I love the feedback. And yes, so miscarriage. Yeah, that was a tough one. It was hard. I think what helped me was definitely my faith in God, and just knowing, and I know it sounds cliche and stuff, but knowing that everything does happen for a reason. Also, when I spoke to my doctor, and my doctor said that most likely it wasn't a healthy egg, that also made me feel a little bit better. I'm okay, well, maybe that's just God, helping me make the decision for me, so I don't have to make the decision later, kind of. That also helped me, gave me more peace. And just, leaning on God is what really helped me, and my partner, and having his support too, Emilio's. But I prayed myself through it. And I was like, God, if this is your will, then help me accept it, heal my heart. And when I think about it, it's something that kind of just tugs at the strings of my heart a little bit. But I know that I have a little angel in heaven, and is, there to give me love from. It's just, I know it's just so hard. I get it. But it's just going to take time. It happened in October. Mine happened in June. So just know it's going to take a little bit of time, and time heals, and just know that God knows what he's doing. God knows when, why, and how. So you'll have your rainbow baby. Have faith that you'll have a rainbow baby. I didn't know what a rainbow baby was until I had my miscarriage. So I will be praying for both of our uteruses and praying for God's will to be done. But I'm sending you a big hug, Valerie, because I know I'm even like, it's tough. I feel like with situations like this, there's really nothing that anyone can tell you to make you feel better. But all I could say is that the faith I had in God, and I have in God, should I say, it really helped me through. So sending you a big hug, Kay. Okay, guys. So next question the last question actually comes from Emely.
Hey, Chiquis, how are you? I hope you're doing well. And my question to you is, what is the most valuable thing to you? And I'm just curious to know. I love you, and I watch all your podcasts all the time. Like, I always look forward to them. And yeah, and I always tell my friends, family about it. And I really love the advice you give on the podcast. I appreciate your honest opinions. And yeah, love you, Chiquis. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Oh, I love this. I love when people tell me they love my podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, for taking the time and coming back and, feeding your soul with positive things. So thank you so much. And Emely, in regards to your question, that's a good question. It's so crazy because I'm like, I feel like I can give advice all day long, but then you ask me a question and I'm like, oh wait, what is the most valuable thing to me, or what's valuable to me? More than like a materialistic thing, Emely, I'd have to say, I think honesty is very valuable to me, because with honesty comes integrity and comes trust and so many other things. I think when you are able to be honest with yourself and with the world, I think that definitely gives you a lot of power within yourself. So I feel like that's very, very valuable to me, is honesty. Honesty with myself, honesty with others, people being honest with me. So that's the first thing that popped into my head when you were asking the question. So I'm sure there's other things that are very valuable to me, but that's the first thing that came up. And actually, Emely, talking about a materialistic thing, because maybe if you asked me this question when I was younger, I'd think like, oh my gosh, like a purse or some shoes or something. I don't know. But now I think if I had to choose something that was materialistic, I guess something, physical, I would probably for sure take my ring, my wedding ring. It's very important to me. That's definitely valuable for so many reasons, not just because, Emilio gave it to me and it's a beautiful ring. I love it, but also because what it stands for, what it means, what it represents. My dogs are very valuable, other than that, I think that's it. Like even my mom's stuff, for instance, that for so long I held on to because they gave me comfort. I had a dress, I had some of her hair before, and those things I think were keeping me from completely healing. So I let them go. And you guys will probably see those things in my mom's museum coming very soon, hopefully. But I even had to feel like I had to, like my mom, I felt like was telling me for so long, like, you can't hold on to that. You got to kind of let it go, and when I did, I felt a little bit better. So I feel like my mom is in my heart and in my mind, and that's where I keep her, because I was holding on to those things with dear life. And I think it was affecting me more than helping me. So I feel like material things, I try not to don't hold that much value for me as much as other things. Anyways, I really appreciate your question. I like that. So you guys can ask me anything. So, it could be deeper questions about relationships, about love, about even businesses. If you are wanting to start your own business, I can definitely give you advice. I mean, all the advice that I give you guys comes from my own personal experiences, and, I'm not always right, and I'm not a professional. Let me remind you guys. But I definitely will give you the best advice that I possibly can. I have your best interests at heart for sure. So if you have a question, you can leave it at speakpipe.com/Chiquis and Chill podcast. And thank you guys. Thank you, Alissa, Jocelyn, Valerie, and Emely for your questions. Los quiero mucho. See you here in the next one. This is a production of iHeartRadio and the My Cultura podcast network. Follow us on Instagram at My Cultura Podcast and follow me, Chiquis, that's CHIQUIS. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.